Starburst Mom. I'm Jessica and you're watching the Halloween series. This video is all about the veil and ancestors. So the veil. What is the veil that so many talk about during Halloween? It's a mystical and mythical sounding phrase. The veil is thinning. It's a place, the fence between the physical and spiritual realms. It's a borderland, like a doorway or a window. And when it thins, it's like a fog lifting. When the veil thins, it means that humans, the incarnate, can have contact with the spirit world, and entities and beings of the spiritual realm can have contact with us. There are certain times of the year and certain places around the world where the veil is thin. During Samhain is when we most hear about the veil thinning. However, certain other times and places we can experience this phenomenon. For instance, people when they visit Gettysburg say they can feel and pick up on ghosts, especially if they visit specifically around the time of year that battle had happened there. It can be felt in places where a lot of spiritual energy has been built up, and it can happen through creating portals. This is why you hear people talk about how watching scary movies aren't a good idea, because it allows negative, low vibrational entities to enter into the space where you're watching those kinds of shows. If you watch a lot of horror films, you might open a portal for harmful entities and spirits to enter your home or into your energetic field or your physical space around you. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means that there's potential for it to happen, and that's why some people decline partaking in anything considered evil, low vibrational, harmful, or negative. They don't want to risk any attachment or attracting the lower astral realm into their energetic field or into their physical life. So when people talk about portals opening, it's not giving energy to scary or low vibrational things, or even going into cemeteries being too much for them. It's because they sense that veil and the energetic beings that are just beyond. That's why practicing psychic protection and spiritual sovereignty is so important. If you want to know more about spiritual sovereignty, check out the Yes program on starbridgemom.com. The ancient Celts understood this, though. They understood that this time of year was filled with potential for interaction with the spirit realms, the ancestor realm, the lower astral realm. For better or worse, there was potential for contact. And they did things that were protective to ward off harmful spirits, and also did things that welcomed in high vibrational beings and loving ancestors that they wanted to honor and connect with. Ancestors are one of the highlights of Samhain rituals and traditions. The Celts knew that we are all responsible for maintaining balance between the physical and spiritual, between the micro and the macrocosms. They understand that this veil, the spiritual dimensions, they understood all of that and they understood them to be sacred, and so they practiced active awareness about how they interacted with other realms. When we work with the spirit realm, we can learn, grow, evolve, find immense love, wisdom, guidance, support, abundance, blessings, and healing. But when we work with the spirit realm, we can also be greeted with hard knock challenges, wading through muck and shadow to find the light. The spirit world has a way of highlighting our fears, our triggers, our shadow and dark side, and even feed off of it. So the Celts revered the spirit realms. They feared them and they revered them. They treated it with imagination, intuition, logic, humility, respect, and grace. It's a time we remember the dead during Samhain, and we honor our ancestors. This Sabbath spotlights the cycle and mystery of life, death, and rebirth. It signals the changing of the seasons and going into the harshest time of the year. Through death and through journeying into darkness of the psyche and the darkest part of the year, we discover light and life. We learn to surrender to the cycles of life, spiritually and physically. Our ancestors believed that life begins with darkness, just as when New life enters the womb and must remain there in stillness and darkness until it's ready for light and a fully physical life. The womb is similar to the veil in that sense, the place that can hold both the spiritual and the physical forms of life. Samhain was the Celtic New Year. They celebrated what they had achieved in the last 12 months, what they created, what they birthed, what they harvested. Rituals were created to name the family and friends that had died in that year previously. And also they named all of the new life that came into the family and community during the year. There was a lot of respect and honor for life. So they also named fresh opportunities they had and the things that they had lost too. Our ancestors honored the dead as respected allies. Again, this isn't about celebrating death and dying. They saw ancestors as allies, benevolent protectors, loving supporters of the living. Ancestors, the deceased, can go between the spirit realms and the living realms, the physical realms, and transmit knowledge back and forth. They honor the deceased ancestors that came before as a way to remember their roots, to remember their stories, where they come from. It offered closeness, healing, protection, and knowing where you fit in with life and with time. Honoring ancestors is about human relationships, love, closing the gap, and not falling into the lie of isolation and separation. We realize we aren't alone in this world when we practice ancestor reverence. We can call on loving support and guidance from our ancestors that are well in spirit. We learn that we're all distinctly unique but connected to. We're part of a continuum in time, and when we practice ancestor reverence, we practice expanded consciousness of the past, the present, and the future. We practice more respect for our own lives, families, and the earth that we all share. Through ancestor work, we also lift up our own descendants and eventually accept that we too will become ancestors. So what is the legacy that we want to leave for our lineage that follows after our footsteps? What needs healing in our lineage? That's a lot to do with ancestor reverence work. Honoring our ancestors, especially at Samhain, was central to Celtic spiritual practice. We inherit a lot from our lineage. For better or for worse, we carry our ancestors in our DNA, in our very blood and bone. They are our roots, and we are the plant that's blooming forth. So when you work on connecting with your ancestors, it's like checking the soil. Anybody who likes to garden or have houseplants knows you've got to have a good composition of soil for that plant to be healthy and to bloom from. So doing ancestor work works on healing lineage, and it goes across all dimensions of time. And so by doing that, it's not just about honoring, but we're healing ourselves, we're healing our roots, and we're bringing more healing to our family through the dimension of time. We minimize negative patterns, we heal traumas and hurts, and ensure that our ancestors are well and can cross into the ancestor realm peacefully. They're not going to end up as ghosts that are earthbound and trapped. This is one of the most beautiful and touching parts about Samhain that I absolutely cherish. So in what ways can you get started with ancestor reverence? Do you know members of your family outside of your immediate family? Do you know where your ancestors come from? Do you know where your grandparents are from, what they believe? Do you know their birthdays? Do you have family recipe that you can make, or maybe a heirloom item that you can hold on to? Do you have old photos that you can display? Even just stating the name or thinking about a deceased family member is a simple way to do ancestor reverence. This Halloween, choose something you can do to honor your family that's come before you.